The games that we see players participating in during Squid Game is one of the many things that makes the show so strong. The deadly stakes that are added to light-hearted children's games that people would often do for fun take something which is usually really easy to do and it turns it into something extremely difficult with deadly consequences. During Season 2 of the show, we got a handful of new games, and within Season 3, it seems like we're going to be getting a bunch of new games too. Did you know that in Season 2 of the show, there were actually some hidden details and clues about what the future games could be? So I thought it would be worth sharing those clues and also theorizing about what other classic Korean games could make it into the show. So let's get into it. Here are the Squid Game Season 3 games explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The Monkey Bars. The first game that I think we could well end up seeing in Season 3 of the show is a take on the classic game and piece of equipment that's seen in parks all around the world, which are the Monkey Bars. This game could feature in the next season because of some hidden artwork that was painted on the wall in the background of the holding area for the contestants. Alongside the left and right side of the room, there were these stick-type figures that were painted on the wall which depicted humans that looked like they were swinging across something. There were even other human-type figures that were holding onto other humans on the drawings. This is a game and obstacle that can be difficult and relies on upper body strength and core strength to move from bar to bar. I imagine we're going to be seeing the contestants having to go across from one platform to another one in order to survive and not be eliminated from the game. This is a game that would most likely favour the individuals that are younger and stronger, so some of the more older and frailer characters might end up getting eliminated from this round. I think we could even see some characters maybe trying to put others on their back and swing across so that they could still be saved, like the mother and son duo. This game could also cause conflict amongst the players too, as I imagine there would be a time limit in order to get from one platform to the other, and if somebody panics or they're not very good and they're stuck in front of a contestant, then it might cause them to just do what they can do to get them to slip. As if somebody ends up being held up by somebody else, it might mean that they could end up being eliminated and dying through no fault of their own. This will most likely be a game that will be tense and one that many people dread to do. We could end up seeing it mirroring the likes of the games that featured in Season 1, Tug of War and Glass Floor. The contestants may need to get a lift up high to a level where the ground can't be seen. We've seen the show focus on people falling from up high before, so this would make sense to be included as we've not seen a heights or a falling to their death game being featured just yet. The Human Chessboard. The next game that we could end up seeing being played is, again, based on another piece of artwork that was on the wall in the holding area where the players were contained. This piece of art was on the center of the wall and opposite where the soldiers entered. This is a slightly more difficult one to determine because there's not really much to it, but what we do have are squares that alternate between black and white, almost like a chessboard or a checkers or drafts board depending on where you're from and what you call it. Along with the squares, there appears to be a few upside-down crosses that are on the board. In fact, it actually looks like there are two boards and it's being mirrored from the bottom onto the top. All of the crosses seem to be on the black squares, and the crosses actually look like they're gravestones as they all seem to be at the top of the center of the squares. I wonder if it could be chess, or if it could be an entirely different game completely. Almost a game where if the players end up on the black squares, then they could end up being eliminated and killed from the game. Hence why there are crucifixes on them. I think this game could be played in a couple of different ways. We could well see it being played like human chess, and each person on the board could represent a chess piece and only move in the way that they do, almost taking inspiration from Harry Potter. There would most likely be one player at each end that's in charge, and they'd get to dictate where people go, or each team could need to work collectively as a group in order to come to the decision of the move. Then, if a player acting as a piece gets taken by the opposing side, then they could be eliminated from the game and killed instantly by a soldier. Then, once the game is concluded, whichever side ends up winning, all of the players that represent pieces that still stand on the opposing side that lost will most likely end up being eliminated too. I imagine this game could likely be made up of teams that consist of X's versus O's, or the group could be split off into an equal number of players on each side, which will ultimately contain some X's and some O's. Something which could cause friction internally amongst the team members. I think this has the potential to be a really good game, one that will require more brain strength than Monkey Bars, so this will most likely also favour a different section of players. The mid-credit scene, it won't be Jack and Jill. One game that everybody's been talking about is centered around the mid-credit scene that played during the Season 2 finale credits. This was of Young-Hee, the red light green light doll, with a new doll called Cheol-Su. Many people have been speculating that it's a game that's based on Jack and Jill, which is based on the traditional nursery rhyme. This game usually consists of players starting at the bottom of the hill. They roll a colored dice and then they move up the space which represents the color that they landed on. Then they turn the spinner, and if it points to a well, then the player stays on that spot and it goes to the next player. It's essentially about making it to the top of the hill before your opponent does. This is a game that could work in the context of the show, but seeing as though Jack and Jill is a Western nursery rhyme and not a Korean game, it doesn't quite make sense. Plus, also, when looking at the environment, it appears to be mirroring a train track and its crossing, and there are several times of day that appear to be present. The crossing is something that I think is also key to the game. I imagine that it could be similar to red light green light in the sense that the players can only move when the light is green, but maybe it could be more finite. Maybe it's almost like a journey that the contestants have to go on, hence the environment, and hence the times of day changing, and they may have to make it across before the time limit's up. The light could go from red to green and then red one final time, and whoever doesn't make it could end up being eliminated and left by the railroad tracks. It looks like this game is also done in a group of 3, considering there are 3 different people to the original 3 that we saw at the start of the mid-credit scene, judging by the hairstyles. A large theory that's going round about this game is that it could be the game Dongdaemun. This is a game where 2 children are selected as gatekeepers and they hold both of their arms out to form an archway so players can pass underneath it one by one. The players are allowed to pass through the gate when the children, which in the context of this game would be Young-Hee and Cheol-Su, would start to sing a nursery rhyme. And then when the song finishes, the gates get closed and the gatekeeper catches the person who was trying to get through but didn't make it. I imagine if the person doesn't make it through, then they'll be eliminated from the game. I feel this could be a blend of Dongdaemun and also what I said before about there being obstacles that they need to overcome in order to make it there. It's not going to be as simple as walking underneath the arms. With the environment being like it's in the middle of nowhere, it shows that time is going to pass during their round, which could bring challenges of itself. Plus, the red light and the green light and the presence of Young-Hee could mean that there's a blend of that incorporated into the game too. As, after all, it is most probably the most viral game of the series. The creator of the show has actually said that this could be the most exciting game of the entire season, so I'm intrigued to see exactly how it's going to play out. As you can see, there are a few different games that could well be incorporated into the next season of the show. However, these are the ones that I think we could most likely see appearing when the show returns later on this year for its 3rd installment. So, there you have it, Squid Game Season 3 Games Explained. If you want to see more videos on Squid Game Season 2, such as characters being broken down, the ending explained, and even theories on the story in Season 3, then click on the card in the top corner, there'll be a playlist there. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find more of your favourite TV series and movies being broken down. Which games would you like to see feature in Season 3? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video and I'll see you in the next one.